Welcome back, everyone, to GGN. This is part two. This is my website as well, ggnonline.com. Um, Also on YouTube is DDarko2012 and DDarko2013. There's a poll up here. What are the chances of a stage alien invasion space threat during the 2012 London Olympics? I'm not sure if you guys heard the latest news. I remember reporting on this before, which was what? Basically the surface-to-air missiles, along with SAS, special forces and hideaway bunkers and increased troop presence and traffic wardens, getting police powers. I guess they're going to have snipers dangling from helicopters, everything. So that may be the NATO summit, but the NATO summit is kind of sounding, looking a lot like the London Olympics in the way of security. So who knows what's going to be happening here? You don't have to believe in aliens to go along with this notion of having a false flag attack so that they can get your money to build up space weapons. So I've seen people in the comment board say, "Well, there are no aliens. There are no aliens. That's it. We're the only ones in the entire galaxy." Well, anyways, long story short, these people that are running the planet, whether they believe in aliens or not, they got a lot of people believing in it, and they're putting it out in the media. They're putting it out in video games. They're increasing the issue of extraterrestrials and the planet fighting and unifying to fight this foreign threat. So it doesn't really matter whether you believe in aliens. They're pushing this agenda. So of building up the space weapons, and basically what they're trying to do is just venture out, conquer the universe. Right? They've already conquered this planet. If you haven't got the memo yet, this is a prison planet. I don't even know if you could actually escape it if you wanted to. If you build your own little machine or mechanism or vessel to get out of here, they probably would. They probably would. You'd be taken off in some kind of wormhole, and then you'd be cut off in a wormhole by the people that run this planet, saying you know. So yeah, you can go in there and check it out. So I'm not sure if it's going to happen this summer, but it's looking a lot more like it is. And let's not forget the holographic technology that they've been promoting. Just had Tupac within the past 30 days, the hologram, and they're talking about holograms. So, Tajikistan, Russia inch closer to deal on troop presence. That's right. I covered the Mideast in the first section, the first video, and then now I'm going to move into Asia. So it says here that Russia and Tajikistan are getting closer to a deal that would extend the presence of Russian troops in the Central Asian nation beyond 2014, Russia's foreign minister said. And it goes on, it says that it is expected to lease for the three Russian-controlled garrisons in the former Soviet neighboring Afghanistan will be extended by 49 years, a prospect first floated by outgoing Russian President Medvedev. This was an article that I had, and I don't think I got to. It's from April 19th, 2012. Central Asia Border Security pledged. Interior Ministries or ministers from Europe and Central Asia vowed in Vienna this week to work more closely to tighten border security throughout the region. It says here, international members of the Central Asia Border Security Initiative agreed Tuesday to step up efforts to stem the flow of illegal immigrants, terrorists, and illegal drugs through the region of time at a time when pending withdrawal of NATO forces in Afghanistan is likely to present new security challenges. So it's all in the name of security efforts to for drugs and terrorists, right? So, but we know that it's not that for that reason. I mean, you can simply go by each one and say the government has a monopoly in drug dealing and kidnapping and terrorist activity and bringing in the flow of illegal immigrants. So what it has to do with is Russia and China. So, the West is going to try to secure their little countries like Israel with Azerbaijan and arming them. And you have Poland, and then Georgia is a big kind of, it can go either way, basically. Wild card, that's the word I was looking for. China-Russia relations reach new heights. So I'm not sure if you guys caught this story about the U.S. Moving 9,000 Marines from Okinawa. Um, the way this story this news is going to be presented is, oh, well, the Japanese, they just wanted the United States out of there. I don't know if you've been aware of this, but they've been having these constant conflicts between the United States, who has marine, mostly air bases in Japan, and the Japanese government, because the people don't want them there. They're out there protests. I remember when I was actually there in Iwakuni and Okinawa, there'd be protesters right outside the fence. So they didn't want us there then. They don't want us there now. But, they could have removed them whenever they wanted to. It's just kind of unusual that they're removing them now when they're putting U.S. Marines in Australia, and they just increased the number of U.S. forces in Australia as well, along with building up this whole theater in South Asia. So moving on here, it goes on, it says Japan and the U.S. have announced 9,000 U.S. Marines stationed at Okinawa will be shifted to Australia and Guam. So see, they're going to Australia, they're going to Guam and Hawaii. So, right, what I was basically saying. So here's the bullshit. In a move Washington hopes will ease sometimes fractious relations with Japan's. It's pulling out, right? So remember, when the Japanese lost, their entire everything was banned. So, I mean, the only thing that they had flying over there while we had F-18s out there practicing, exercises, was like these safety emergency, basically SAR, search and rescue planes, and they'd float the same plane over and over every day, all day. So it says here, the foreign and defense ministers of the two countries say the move is to cope with the changing security environment in the Asia-Pacific region. So then they kind of get to the cut to the truth right there. And then we have this. This has been slowly happening as well. Marine Corps reduces number, not effectiveness. And of course, that's a nice PR statement. This is from their actual website. Officials with the headquarters, Marine Corps Manpower and Reserve Affairs, conducted an informational brief at the Camp Pendleton's Bulldog box office regarding the drawdown of active duty Marines beginning October 2012. It was talking about Marines reducing the force from 202,000 to an end strength of 182,000 over the course of the next 4 years, and how to prepare for the change. Kind of interesting, right? Because they were used in Mogadishu and that in Africa, and then used in the Middle East and Afghanistan. That with the drawdown, we were returning to our Navy Marine Corps roots of being an amphibious Marine Corps. Well, where do you think those guys are going to be sent? Moving on here, 11 soldiers, 1 civilian killed in rebel attacks in the Philippines. And these patches, they actually look like those little patches that I showed in that video about on the video of a cache of weapons being found between the U.S. and Mexican officials on the southwest border. Tons of ammo and all that stuff, right? When I was talking about the slow invasion of the United States, possibly. And these were the type patches that I saw. So, and it goes on and it says here that the rebels attacked 3-vehicle army convoy. This was last Wednesday. So this is interesting. These are the communist rebels, right? But you're not going to hear those type stories in the mainstream media. Next up, we have China newspaper warns of small-scale war with the Philippines. It says here, one of China's most popular newspapers has warned of a potential small-scale war between Beijing and Manila as a result of their standoff. And it goes on, it says, in the area is known internationally. Global Times published its Chinese and English edition, said over the weekend that China should be prepared to engage in small-scale war at sea with the Philippines. U.S. triples military aid to Philippines in 2012. United States will nearly triple its military funding for the Philippines this year. It says here, as the tensions rise with China over disputed islands, talking about the South China Sea. Moving on, letter signals U.S. may sell Taiwan new fighter jets. It was suggested in a new government look into reports. Moving on here, we have Taiwan sets up airborne unit for contested Spratly Islands. So it says here, Taiwan's defense ministry said on Wednesday that it formed its special airborne unit capable of scrambling to the contested Spratly Islands in just hours as tensions in the South China Sea are mounted. Yeah, I don't know if you remember, they actually have like they were doing an exercise, Taiwan was, a mock exercise of an invasion by China or something like that. But somebody made a good point about the invasion would be coming from Japan to China, and would be mostly people fleeing out of the country due to basically those reactors just all going out and the country being uninhabitable. So I guess they could kind of point to who was behind it, right? And they'd just be sitting there mowing them down possibly when they come in. Carrier killer program goes ahead. It says here that between 7 and 11 500-ton stealth corvettes, each equipped with 8 anti-ship cruise missiles and designed to sink carriers, are to be built by 2014. So it's already being hailed as Taiwan's carrier killer, and the Chinese didn't like the U.S. Basically making arms contracts with Taiwan, and that was, I think, a couple of years ago. U.S. sees South America as possible China counter. When I saw this article, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. I'd see it's not even up there, I guess. But yeah, a complete joke. Leon Panetta going on there. Come on, South America. We know you hate our guts. Why don't you come and help us go over to the Chinese theater in the South China Sea? And remember this: Bolivians protesting road constructions. You have in Peru, they're mining, basically mining protests. Venezuela, they don't like them too much. Colombia doesn't like them too much. So I was kind of surprised to see that article. But it was pure propaganda for the yahoos. It says here, Russia's military brass threatens preemptive strike if NATO goes ahead with missile plan. Russia's top military officer has threatened to carry out a preemptive strike on the U.S.-led NATO missile defense facilities in Eastern Europe if Washington goes ahead with this controversial plan to build a missile shield. The U.S. missile defense plans in Europe have been one of the touchiest subjects in U.S.-Russia relations for years. And yeah, it's Eastern Europe, and you kind of move into the Central Asia area, and like I've mentioned before, that's kind of the area where it's coming down to, where you have the United States, Israel, the UK, and that basically the West, and China and Russia, just kind of fending for the last resources and kind of pitting these countries. They're all kind of just puppet countries. I remember when I made a video about Kyrgyzstan, all about Kyrgyzstan when I first started GGN. It's like 4 set videos, and someone got offended in the comment board, like, oh, they're not a puppet state for the New World Order. I'm like, well, okay, whatever. But everything from their flag to the representatives is basically, they're pro-West. I mean, they're not really there for themselves or their people. They're either pro-West, or they're pro-Russia or China. U.S. claims unprecedented success in tests for new fuel source. Now, this is interesting, but it goes on, it says, could the future of cleaner fossil fuels really be frozen crystals now trapped in the ocean sediment and under permafrost? Arctic permafrost. Then I remember this article. Well, you don't remember it. I don't know if you do, if you saw it, but I've been meaning to get to this. April 24th, top of the world, NATO rehearses for war in the Arctic. So I wonder for what? The Western campaign for global dominance has reached the top of the world. That's right. So as they're debating over climate change, they're preparing for a new kind of Cold War in the Arctic, anticipating that rising temperatures will open up a treasure trove of resources and long-dreamed sea lanes. It goes on, it says they're taking place in the high north under the official label of Joint Norwegian-NATO Partnership for Peace endeavor, which including preparedness drills against terrorist threats, mass demonstrations, i.e. breakdown of the economy and that civil unrest, and spies coming in from the cold. So the Russians have what? Created their own special Arctic troops. That's right. I'm sure they already had it, but for the Arctic, the Russian authorities have announced the formation of 24 special border guard units in the Arctic. The strengthening of the Arctic borders will be implemented in the next 8 years. The Defense Ministry promised to patch all the holes in the Arctic border formed in the post-Soviet years. It says here that the military presence will be strengthened by ground troops. So this is a New York Times piece amid protest. They got to put that there, amid protest. Their golden boy Obama. You don't think there was protests when he was coming into office, and every other shill puppet that they put in there as well? Putin returns to presidency in Russia. The defense minister returned to Mr. Putin the black suitcase that contains the controls to a vast nuclear arsenal. And I have this to leave you with. Vladimir Putin, Russia issues international arrest warrant for Rothschilds and Soros. And it goes here, Vladimir Putin, now in full control of Russia's prime minister, wishes to build a strong Christian nation. In a televised Christmas message on January 7, 2008, you can go in there and says, but basically that the church is going to continue promotion of moral values in society. I think they're actually putting up a ban against gay propaganda. Basically not against gays. It's just people that go out there and promote, like in kindergarten, like over here in the West, they're promoting homosexuality, they're promoting all this crazy crap that's going on. It's confusing young people. They want to actually ban that. But it goes on and it says, Russia will make the U.S. reflect upon what they allowed the Rothschilds to do to their country. It says, when you see protesters against Putin now, keep in mind it's probably staged by the Rothschilds trying to control Russia once again. Unbelievable. Russian oppositions confab at U.S. Embassy. Russian opposition caught filing into U.S. Embassy in Moscow. So, protesters for hire. Thank you.